Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is RosterWatch. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier live from Mobile, Alabama, where we're, I guess, kind of halfway through, 2/3 of the way through the 2026 Senior Bowl, our 15th annual trip here to Mobile. And it's been another good one, Cody. We'll have a final wrap-up show where we'll kind of go over the All-Senior Bowl team and all that either on Friday or Saturday morning, depending on how travel goes. But yeah, interesting week so far. I think that the best way to maybe kind of discuss it is to go through by position and just kind of talk about our general overall thoughts. So, quarterback, where are you right now? Any of these guys kind of sticking out to you?
Well, I don't think it's quite the Pickett, Willis, Ritter, Howell year. Those guys, I think, it just had like a baseline of just below competency, but they were just good.
And it was rainy that week.
Yeah, that was rainy. The one day was really rainy, and Willis had a decent day. But the group this year, they're all different from each other. Like you have a Taylor Green, who's this 6'6", 238-pound Adonis, who's athletic. You have Diego Pavia, who obviously came in at 5'9", 7'8". Everyone knows that. It floated across Twitter and stuff. You got Nussmeier, who, for all intents and purposes, was clearly going to be the best ball spinner here when he walked in. But he's got some lingering knee issues that might pop up during the combine and, an oblique injury and yada, yada. I think he still looks the best. And then you have people that love Sawyer Robertson from Baylor, right? And then we haven't even talked about Cole Payton, the left-handed quarterback from North Dakota State, who's like, he's got all the intangibles. I think he's just big enough. We had the argument at dinner the other night about, the left-handed quarterback situation. It's like, yeah, I think that the guy can play at the next level. He's got a very beautiful football, but I think pound for pound, through 2 days of practice, the guy that made the most best throws was Diego Pavia. The problem is a lot of it came in 7-on-7 format with no offensive lineman standing in front of him.
There were a couple of those deep shots in team drills, and I think we'll probably see a little bit more today in red zone work. Now, will that be super deep? No. Yeah. But just like the back pylon stuff, he's willing to go after it and go get it.
That's 100%.
And I think that what I'll say about the national team with Pavia, Sawyer Robertson, and Cole Payton, particularly, is that group, at the very least, they're doing this thing where they're giving us a good eval on these wide receivers. They're running a functional offense, and I think that's important to say. Cody mentioned the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis type of years. There've been guys like the Seth Hennigans of the world that come around where you're just like, man,
that guy can play football, but
it's like, Is he running the operation here to where it's giving us the true eval on these wide receivers, or is every time, even in 7-on-7s, where they just check down to the tight ends and the running backs, which is just brutal. And I've seen it, and I've seen this happen. Even I was talking to you guys the other day about that year whenever we had like Stephen Morris and we had Logan Thomas before he converted from being a quarterback to a tight end. Six, I can't even think. Montez was one. 6 guys that are just like unplayable.
Wasn't Paxton Lynch one too? Was he here?
Paxton Lynch was here. I would say that, look, I think that first group is, at least they're giving us good evals. I think that all 3 of those guys look like they could be functional NFL, probably backups to start.
Yeah.
But a guy like Pavia, I know he's small. He looks small too. He looks small.
But he's got the gas.
I struggle with it, but I'm just like, dude, he's out. He's a ball player, man. Like he makes plays.
Yeah.
And so really interested to see where things go with him. On the other side, as far as the American team, Nussmeier clearly the best out of those guys. It's Nussmeier, Altmaier, and who's the other one?
Green.
And Taylor Green, who we were at media day yesterday. We're like, dude, this guy looks like an edge rusher.
Literally.
He looks like an edge rusher. He's so big and so fast, and he's put together so well. And you can see when he walks into a room where it's just like, well, that's a coach's dream come. That's the perfect mold of clay. He had the deep bomb yesterday. I called it just a meatball rocket because you could see the arm.
It was the 1 foot thing. You stepped up in the pocket. You thought the play was dead.
Yeah.
And he's on 1 foot and does the 50-yard launch.
50-yard launch that was just a beautifully tracked ball by Notre Dame wide receiver Malachi Fields. You guys can go on X and just type in Malachi Fields, and I'm sure that's the first thing that'll pop up. You can see his tracking ability is just insane on that play. terrible throw in the end from Taylor Green. But you can see the arm, you can see the pop, you can see the athleticism. I just think he gets to the NFL and they turn him into like a tight end or something.
Well, that's the thing is like we kind of wrote that in one of our top 10 thoughts last night. It's like you're not drafting just like this is just developmental athletic quarterback. Like I think there's a lot more to it than that. Not I wouldn't say quite a Taysom Hill type of situation where he's going to be a running back, tight end, receiver, quarterback.
He'd be the freakiest Taysom Hill you'd ever seen.
I know, but I think like Taysom Hill is a little bit more gadgety in short areas. Like I think Taylor Green's like a guy like you say like tight end. Tight end's a spot you thought Logan Thomas transitioned a little bit decently.
Right,
like Taylor Green would transition. He could transition.
He's more of like an open field monster than he is.
I mean, you saw it when he would bend. These, again, practice here is not built for guys to scramble, but occasionally when the offensive line gets pummeled by Lee Hunter, then the quarterback will get out and escape. And you can really see Taylor Green when he hits that edge and he bends, and it's like he jumps like 5 miles per hour within like a 2 yards. Whoa! It's like a kind of a breathtaking speed difference, I guess you'd say, in open field.
Okay, so that's the quarterbacks. We'll have more on the final breakdown. Running backs,
Mike Washington.
Yeah, so Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas, I think, has emerged as our favorite here, and that's saying something because Nick Singleton's here from Penn State, who I was high on after doing my review on him, mainly from watching 2024 stuff. I liked him much better in 2024 than I did in 2025 on tape. When he was healthy, right? Katron Allen is here, his teammate from Penn State, and a guy that a lot of people like more than Singleton. There's also here, Le'Veon Moss was supposed to be here. He didn't show up. Jonah Coleman from Washington was supposed to be here. He didn't show up. And so to me, it's been kind of like a three-guy race between those three. Whenever I watch these guys, I don't know if there's anybody else that's kind of stuck out to you. I just look at Washington, and I would just encourage you guys to, if you want to see Mike Washington's full skill set, just go watch Arkansas versus Texas in 2025. I don't have his exact stats pulled up from that game, but I just remember thinking during that game, as somebody that was covering Texas, I'm like, well, Texas needs that at their running back spot. They need a guy that's that versatile, that runs that hard, that when he can run between the tackles, but he can also, he has the speed to get to the edge. We saw it just yesterday in the outside run drills, the way he can absolutely get to the edge just like that and get upfield, has changed the direction. Immaculate, high cut guy, angular body type. It's been hard for me to land on an exact comp for him.
We went through about 40 names last night.
Yeah. He's a hard guy to comp because his running style is more of this kind of it kind of like, I was like, dude, he kind of reminds me of Thomas Rawls, but we looked him up and Thomas Rawls is like 5'8", 5'9", whereas this dude's 6 feet tall,
228 pounds, 6'1", 228.
Is he 228?
It's 228.
God, he carries it so well. What did we leave and land on?
So we kind of worked ourselves around to like near a Najee, and then what we ended up landing on was a Clinton Portis. And we went back
I like that.
And we trust us. We went back and we like double watched all these
watched them
college.
Watch their college film on Clinton Portis is so grainy. You can't. It's like
we went back and watched it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the like. I was like, man, is there a little? This is gonna sound cocky, maybe, but it's like, is there a little AP in there? I could see like the one cut and the kind of this galloping look here, and then you look at like a Najee Harris, and there's some Najee there. We had Carlos Hyde up, I think, for a minute, and then we worked ourselves into, and it was like Clinton Portis is the mishmash of all of that. It's a very interesting, different style.
He's a great runner. He's gonna be a great player. Here's the problem: I think he's already 25.
Well, yeah, he's gonna turn 26, I think, in October. So I think his age apex is gonna happen like
in week 3, week 3 of his first season.
But here's the deal: I was thinking about this overnight. So I was dreaming and thinking about this overnight, which tells you a lot. But the idea that, so first off, you brought up Jonah Coleman. I thought you laid the land very perfectly with Jonah Coleman and Le'Veon Moss. I like Le'Veon Moss a lot of injuries at A&M. But Jonah Coleman had an opportunity to be, RB3, RB2, RB4 conversation from Washington. He comes 5'9", 228.
There are guys who have him there right now.
Yeah, and they do. And here's the thing: Mike Washington came in here and has like jumped himself to the front of that line. And I think the most interesting thing is, like we talked about with the age, that's a glaring red flag in the dynasty streets.
Yeah.
Right. In Dynasty, you're going to be looking at that ranking. You're like, I can't put this guy, as like, the 106 in your Dynasty draft.
He's not.
But
even in a rough year for Dynasty.
But in the NFL, these teams, how they look at the running back and how the running back has been, weighted and valued the last 5, 6, 7 years, and how they pay these guys and how they look at them in like in a 3 year contract.
It's a 3-year window if you're a third-round pick.
And that guy doesn't have that much tread on, like he hasn't been worked into the ground at New Mexico State and then at Arkansas. It's like he's got tread and he's got pop and he's got flash and he's got size. And one thing we've learned with some of the guys with size is they can last up to the age 30, 31, 32 in the NFL. This guy hasn't taken a snap in the NFL yet. He had 1 year in the Power 4. It's like, I think Mike Washington could be an interesting guy in that 3rd, 4th round area to get into a team. And, kind of like a Tyler Algier. Algier wasn't quite this old, but Algier in a starting role had 1,000 yards as a rookie.
1,000 yards as a rookie.
So
he's faster than Algier.
Yes.
Different player than Algier. We're not comparing him to Algier, except for the fact that he's kind of big. And then, I don't know. I thought Katron Allen, as I'm watching him, I'd had trouble with some of his comps as I'd kind of gone through them. I forgot what I even had for him. It was let me see if I just pull it up here.
Oh, you had the oh gosh, I can't remember. It was a
staff rankings, running backs, Katron. You had Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt. I had
Beanie Wells. That's what it was.
Beanie Wells. Whenever I got to see him live, I just said, dude, he looks like Rashard Mendenhall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the comp I'm going to be sticking with him. I'm going to have a real struggle here. And I was talking with Brett Whitefield about how hard this is because he has these 2 runners ranked back-to-back in his rankings too. I'm like, it's not an easy choice between Singleton and Katron Allen for me. I don't know if it's easy for you. I just think with Singleton, he brings more in the receiving game. He's a lot bigger than you would think. Now the issue with him is that really concerns me, and I know it sounds stupid. People are going to think it's cockamamie, but he has really small calves, and it's just that was a concern for us with Marshawn Lloyd. Just with the way that injuries crop up with these guys with these skinny calves. It's with Singleton though. I think to myself, well, this is a guy that holds the squat record at Penn State.
But he's already had injuries. He's already had injury problems.
Yeah, but he doesn't have little weakling, little green bean calves.
But
if he's squatting 600.
But he does. That's the problem. That's the squat is butt, squat is back, squat is hamstring. That's a lot of where squat is built. And a big place where you can get injured is if you have deficiencies in any direction in that lower leg. So it's like, they say when you tear things in your lower half, it's because of weak hamstrings or inversely weak quads, or like we saw with Marshawn Lloyd. So you can go look at the Marshawn Lloyd injury history from the NFL, and it correlates directly to on a weekly basis. This guy's got a groin injury, he's got a hamstring injury, he's got an ankle injury, and it sucks. And it's like, I'm not going to talk this guy into an injury, but
it's Darren McFadden.
He's a stud. Like, and McFadden had good years, but Singleton's a stud with probably the most upside out of any of these guys that was here. But again, it's just like it's the one question mark that we have that again people laugh at. And they're like, "That's the calves, like Matty, calves." I'm like, Theo, this guy's got smaller calves than Marshawn Lloyd, and I loved Marshawn Lloyd. You loved Marshawn Lloyd, like, and then it was like, oh, I'm a little bit worried here. We pulled back. I remember putting out a top 10 thought that first practice. We pulled back
exactly because of that, and it ended up being good for Dynasty to not be as high on Marshawn Lloyd as we would have liked to have been, especially because he had the injury history, right? Singleton kind of has it. I have trouble. I think that Singleton has immensely more upside than Katron Allen, but I do think that Katron, what he brings is just a really solid, early down running back that actually during this week has showed off pretty good hands, pretty good route running. The other guy I think that's shown off the pretty good route running that we didn't see much of when he was at Indiana was Kalon Black.
He's got a little flash.
Yeah. I like the way that he gets into his routes. I like he looks natural running them. And he had told us. Was that you and me talking to him, or was that just me?
I didn't talk to Kalon.
Like he said, like if you go back and watch his tape from G5, I guess so. Was that JMU?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like, you go watch that, and like you can see me running around. It's, it's like because I was asking him about it.
Yeah.
He didn't catch any footballs for Indiana,
Yeah.
so that's a part of his game that I thought was surprising and good. I think that he's looked good. I'm wondering though, is there anybody else that you have noticed besides the Penn State guys, Mike Washington, who we see at the top of the heap, and maybe peripherally, maybe Kalon Black? Is there anybody else on the periphery for you?
I mean, Jade Knott had, some good
I
pass protection
can't
stuff.
do it.
I'm not going to go all in on Jade Knott, but again, we saw a little bit more yesterday, kind of what Jim Nagy's been talking about for a couple of years now, and what he can look like when he's healthy. Again, like I just think you look at the heap of running backs in this class, it's not really a great class or great depth, but Ott's going to be a guy that's probably around that 10 spot in the overall class, I would imagine, for some people.
At the 10 overall?
Probably running back 10 or so.
Oh, running back 10. I was
Yeah.
going to say like the 110.
No.
Way.
The running back 10 overall in that kind of category, in that conversation. I still have a liking to Rasul Faison. He's a little bit longer. You know what it is? It's kind of like the Devonta Price from Florida International. He's got a little bit of that Rashad White kind of odd body shape there, but he bends well. I thought he caught the ball in the backfield pretty decently. Didn't do a lot in the run game. That was the disappointing thing.
Which, we needed.
And he was the one that's like, he's the other 26-year-old.
He's going to be old. He's
Yeah.
old, right? So, is Washington older than him?
I think they're side by side. I thought you had the sheet up here a second ago, but I think they're literally like, I think one of them turns 26 in July and one of them turns 26 in maybe October, I want to say.
Okay, so Rasul Faison, he was born on February 20th of 2000.
He turns 26 next month, the week before the combine.
Mike Washington Mike Washington is only going to be 25, not 26.
Oh, so
because Mike Washington
McGowan's the 26-year-old. Sorry,
yeah, McGowan's the other one. So McGowan is in October of 2000 when he was born, and then Mike Washington was born in the day before the 4th of July in 2000.
So we got a year. That's a +1. That's it's not a red flag. It's kind of a dark orange flag.
Yeah.
But
makes you feel a little bit better. I mean, because look, Le'Veon Moss, we like him a lot. He's going to be 24.
Adam Randall.
Adam Randall's going to be 22.
I forgot about Adam Randall. I want to talk about this for a second. I talked to him. He's 6'2.5",
Clemson,
233 pounds, running back from Clemson, transitioned completely from receiver to running back this year.
Is that classification on him right? A graduate senior? How can he be that?
So he graduated. No, that classification is wrong. So he graduated in 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And then this was his 4th year.
All right.
So technically he's just a senior who graduated. It's
early.
Confusing. We could take up the GR if we want to, but he's a guy that's 6'2.5", 233 pounds, 4th-year guy, graduated in 3, transitioned completely from wide receiver to running back. He had 13 career carries in high school and college before 2025, and he grew from the LSU game in week 1 or week 2 to the end of the season immensely. And I talked to him. I was like, who are some guys, you're looking at and you're watching through this process? And he said, Cordero Patterson. Then he said, Cam Newton. And then he said, who's the third one? I can't remember. He said Derrick Henry, but he's like, Derrick Henry's just a different animal. But
he's an interesting guy,
he's
man.
Stylish.
He's really tall, right?
Very tall, very smart. I think that's a guy, if I want to hitch my wagon to some guy in the 3rd round of dynasty rookie drafts, I think that's going to, Adam Randall's probably going to be that, because I'm not sure.
He's almost 6'3" and 233.
He's massive. And his fluidity out of the backfield is just it's there because he was a receiver, and he just
but that's the thing
really
is
well.
he's not a Derrick Henry, and he's not like a Brandon Jacobs.
Well, the funny thing is I comped him to Cordero, and he says he's been watching Cordero. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
He also says he's like, I try to watch the smaller guys like Bijan. And I was like,
small?
It was like, Bijan's not that small.
Bijan's a horse.
He's like, I want to get some of that into my game. And I'm like, I think this guy, honestly, out of all the running backs we talked to, I think Mike Washington's well-spoken. I think some of these guys
little Bijan Robinson.
These guys are well-spoken. But, man, I think Adam Randall might be the most that guy. He's going to go in, and it's all business. All business edition for Adam Randall. That guy's going to go in. He's going to learn the book, and I think he's going to get an opportunity off the rip, no matter if it's a 3rd or 6th round draft pick at the NFL.
We talked about we talked a little bit about Malachi Fields when we were talking about wide receivers. I think Yeah, it looks like you really like. He's my favorite one here. Although I think my favorite film of these guys, of the guys who was here, would be from Jacoby Lane that I've watched so far. Jacoby Lane from USC. Malachi Fields is from Notre Dame. 6'4", 218 pounds. Runs really well. Not one of these guys that is one of these crisp, precise route runners that you sometimes see coming to the Senior Bowl, like you would see out of like you always think about like Cooper Kupp, or you think about yeah, I'm trying like the guys that, like Debo Samuel came in here, just had the just the way that he could always win on those whip routes, especially on the Thursday practice. Like Jaden Reed, just getting in and out. What's his name? Roman was like that.
Roman Wilson.
Yeah, Roman Wilson was like that as well against really good comp that year. Yeah, versus Quinyon Mitchell. Not that kind of receiver, but just like his quarterbacks.
CJ Carr this year,
right? But I'm just talking about his quarterbacks this week. He's in the first group, because is Taylor in the first or the second group? Taylor's in the second group, isn't he? Yes, you see Malachi Fields with the second group, I believe. National.
I got this by number instead of Notre Dame. He's 0. He's with the American group, so he's with Altmaier, Green, and Nussmeier.
His quarterbacks are not as good as the other quarterbacks, and they're oftentimes checking down to tight ends and running backs and stuff. He's the one guy that consistently just finds a way open to where he presents a large enough window for those guys who are not very good quarterbacks to get it into him. Just sneaky the way he gets open, and just I can't unsee what I saw with the tracking ability, the adjustment to the football, and on the meatball throw from Taylor Green. Really one of those plays which is the singular sort of defining play of the week that no one's going to ever be able to take that away from him in my mind, because I've seen the kind of feat that he's capable of physically. And if you're a guy that's I don't think he's going to burn the combine down with his speed. And so if you're going to be a guy that's going to need to be making those contested catches, you need to be able to contort your body in those ways, adjust in those ways, and most importantly, just sneakily just find these ways to have these open windows for your quarterback to where if you're not going to be really stressing the defense vertically, he does stress the defense vertically. Like his yards per catch last year was 18 yards, something like that. So it wasn't like it was it's not like this is completely new, but I see that as more of a 18 tough yards than a bunch of 50-yard streaks where he's just taking the top off of the defense. Yeah, that's not the kind of player that he is.
He's not going to be doing that consistently. I mean, his much more like a median range type of a guy. Like I think of like not a direct comp here, but like a DeAndre Hopkins, where like he can win downfield, but majority of it's going to come between like the 5 and 20 yard marker. Thought he had a good week. The one red flag on him, which is super interesting, and if I have to have a take on this, I'll have the take. This guy's hands measured at 8 6/8 this week.
Yeah,
I would bet you, because I shook the dude's hands. I talked to Malachi, I shook his hands, and I've shaken a lot of people's hands. I shot a lot. Jaheim Bell. I thought a lot of guys that have 11-inch mitts, 10-inch mitts, 8-inch mitts, like Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
and I shook his hands, and I was like, hold up, that's not 8 6/8.
It's bigger.
Here's my take. My take is he's going to go to the combine, and that hand is going to be 9.
Yeah, I'll bet
it's going to be 9 1/8. It's not going to be 8 6/8.
It's just that's the thing. It's like the thing I liked most about him, even before I saw the contortion ability in his body and his ability to really, really adjust on such a difficult. His hands are like he's got mitts, dude. He's a snatcher of the football.
Sub 2% drop rate.
He's got this. He's just and he does it with the late hands. It's the old DeAndre Hopkins late hand. No, he's not Hopkins, but he just like he just throws them up so quick, and it's like up and down with the football. I'm like, dude, there's no way his hands are 8 3/4 inches. So I think that's a good call.
The only other guy that was kind of like him when you say snatching, catch everything, was Josh Cameron from Baylor, who really kind of
does, man. Bad throws. I've not watched him yet, but some of the dudes that we were sitting with said that his tape from last year is miserable. So I mean, we'll go watch it. But
dude, he was winning in spots where it's like he doesn't create separation at will. like Tyron Montgomery. We'll talk about Ted Hurst. Like, these guys create separation downfield. Josh Cameron from Baylor doesn't create separation. He's 6'1", 223, big hands, and he's kind of looks like a running back. Like I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I gotta get the Deebo Samuel comp sometimes. He's like, he was a running back in high school and then transitioned to senior year to receiver, but he looks like a running back on the field, and he doesn't create any separation really hardly. And the ball, if it's in the right spot, he catches everything. Literally everything, and you're like, well, that's going to get batted away, and he somehow comes away.
I don't know how he does it, and it's weird. He wears number 34. He kind of looks like a running back. He's an interesting guy for sure. I think that by far the two most interesting ones are guys who I came in here not really thinking much about at all. One of them is Ted Hurst. He is from Georgia State, 6'3" 1/4", 207 pounds, 9 5/8" hands. Trash man. Compares him to Josh Palmer and Michael Gallup.
I like the Gallup on that.
Well, I think he's certain. Yeah. How fast was Gallup? Because
5'5", 4.55.
Ted Hurst is much faster than 4.55. Do you want to talk about him? I mean, for me, it's just with Hurst and with this other guy, Tyron Montgomery. He's from John Carroll. Who
Totally
knows
sick.
What that is?
Totally sick.
This guy's a freak, dude. Like he's like if you're talking about like the freak off of catches, each single day he's had one where you're just like, well, I guess Fields probably had the best catch of the day yesterday, but we're talking these one-handed like Moss kind of. You're just like, what is happening with this guy, and how does he keep doing it? Your thoughts on those two? And I mean, I guess if we're talking about the best wide receivers here, and we're making the All Senior Bowl team. Those guys are going to be heavily in the discussions. I think probably also along with Kevin Coleman Jr. of Missouri. It looks to me like that's how you have them lumped in. I think I'm going to have it pretty much just like this, just like close to like you do, as far as kind of a top 5 here with Fields. You know, some combination of Malachi Fields from Notre Dame, Ted Hurst from Georgia State, Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll, who's just like, it feels like a real swindle to rank him at the top of the list when you got 3 LSU guys here and you know what I mean, all the tech guys. But we're just basing it on the week of practices.
Yeah, I think Kevin Coleman's going to get my honorable mention spot at wide receiver. He's a guy, I think of like a Trey Tucker, not as a comp, but as the week unfolded, like a Mr. Consistency. Like I always just look up
Calvin Austin.
Calvin Austin. Like those guys are just, and he's not that small. He's bigger than those guys, but just constantly kind of just like running the right route, catching the football.
He's not that much bigger than that. Was he 174? Was Calvin Austin 168 or something?
Something like that. But he's 5'11". He's got, I think he's more closer to Tank's height, I guess. So he'll be my honorable mention. And I think the 3 wide receivers said I would roll with is Fields, Hurst, and Montgomery. And the reason I'm not putting Montgomery ahead of Hurst is Montgomery, he has, I think his one detriment is that these short area whip routes, kind of these short area things around the line of scrimmage within 5 yards, sometimes getting out of that break, he's a little bit slow on it, and he can get the DB can catch up to him. But anything that's like a sluggo, a deep ball stacking a defender, that guy's got some speed. That guy might run a 4.38, 4.35, something in this nature when we get up to the combine in Indianapolis here in a couple of weeks. But his one trait that is just, again, we talked about with the mossing. He long jumped. We talked to him. He long jumped at Nicholls State, and he's a long jumper. And
he's a track guy. He didn't even do football.
Wanted to play basketball. Wanted to walk on and play basketball at LSU. Went to Nicholls State. Wanted to play basketball. Did track. Then began playing football 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He has almost 3,000 receiving yards, 36 touchdowns. This guy at the catch point, his timing is immaculate, and anybody that's long jumped,
his celebrations are on point too. He's used to making big plays on guys.
Anybody that's done track or long jumped in their career or life has known that, like, when you long jump, it's all about staying in the air as long as possible. This dude stays in the air as long as possible. Like the DB's up and down, and this guy's still levitating, catching the football at its highest point, which is incredibly impressive, especially, lining up against, Colton Hood, who's going to be potentially a first-round pick.
He's probably going to eat. I mean, I think if he runs as fast as I think he's going to run at the combine, he's going to talk his way into being a day 2 pick.
I would believe it. And I think Hurst is a more complete receiver, though.
Well, Hurst is a burner, dude. He's good. Like he's a guy who can get. Do you think Hurst is going to run in the 4.3s?
I'm not sure he's going to run the 4.2s. I would take Montgomery over Hurst as a 1v1.
Well,
for speed.
just because of the track background too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Any other guys that you wanted to come? I mean, Jacoby Lane is here. A guy who I really like from USC.
And he's so slender.
Yeah, really slender. Still really baby faced too. He's still really young, isn't he? Is he still really young? So,
He's got to be.
Okay, so I mean, I guess he's going to be 22 this year. So not super young, but definitely. I mean, if you watch his sophomore film, whenever he was 7th in the nation in touchdowns, sharing an offense was Zachariah Branch and Mekhi Lemon. You see that really good red zone weapon. Not as many last year.
Yeah,
but look, man. I think that Jacoby Lane's somebody to keep an eye on. I don't know what to make of these LSU guys who are here.
I don't think
it was supposed to be such a great transfer class for them with Barryon Brown and Aaron Anderson and
Chris Hilton was
a late add. Doesn't look like wide receiver U this year to me, as far as those guys are concerned. Anybody else that you wanted to talk about?
The only other two names I would bring up, there's a lot of people out there in the streets that liked what Reggie Virgil did. I thought he had a couple nice plays, but not consistent enough for me.
Now he's from Texas Tech.
Yeah, he's one of the two Texas Tech guys. The other one is Caleb Douglas. But the two guys that I just I put here where I ranked post-event on day 2 was Lewis Bond, Boston College, redshirt senior, 5'11", 197, and then Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati, 5'11", 180. Those are two guys that I kind of placed right underneath, the Coleman, Lane, Cameron kind of tier, because when I get home tomorrow, I want to go home and I want to go watch these two guys because I didn't know anything about them coming in, and they were just like, they were those guys that we talk about with the linebacker from Pittsburgh on our other show last night. It's like those two, Cyrus Allen and Lewis Bond, were just kind of like annoyingly everywhere and doing things right, but it wasn't like a big pop. It wasn't a great play. It was just like hustle, catching the football, running the right route. Oh, he got this DB, off kilter, and it's like, oh, that's not really what I expected out of that guy. And it's just kind of a consistency. Like a Lewis Bond kind of reminded me of like a Parker Washington from Penn State who came out with a bum foot, and now in like year 4 finally broke out a little bit. So a couple of interesting cats there that are going to be like 4th and 5th round dynasty rookie picks.
All right, and then so we got to get out of our hotel because we are going to
get kicked out.
Yeah, we're going to get kicked out. We got to get to practice, so we'll talk about tight ends tomorrow or Saturday when we do our wrap-up show. I think they might be kind of good. It's just
there's no Arroyos.
It's just kind of hard to separate. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being pro members and supporting us. You're the reason we can be here in Mobile for the Senior Bowl, while we get to go to the Combine later here in the month, and certainly much more of this coverage coming as we are finally in it. We are finally in draft season. We're in dynasty season. So happy to be here. So happy to have you with us. We'll talk to you soon.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.